Started a game we never got to finish.
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't.
I'm your huckleberry.
It is hotter than freaking bullfrog on a blacktop pavement.
We basically have
YouTubers
that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Welcome to the fucking show.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I'm crazy. Yes, I cuss a lot. But yes, I'm as real as you get.
Hey everybody, my name's Duchess and welcome to Dutch Girl Myrtle Beach. This is where we talk about all the things. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. I missed you guys yesterday, but I had a lot going on, so I had to put the stream on for today. So I appreciate y'all choosing to spend some time with me. We're going to talk about a case local to me and just have a chat and talk about all the things. So I appreciate y'all joining me. Thank you, Allie, for being a member for 22 months. I really appreciate you supporting the channel, sis. It really means the world to me. I have some of the best mods and friends here, and that just means the world to me. And Miss Southpaw 65, thank you for being a member for a month. Cheech and Chong must have been driving that bus. Must have been. I tell you what, that bus is something else, isn't it? And I had to put it in there because it cracked me up so much. So thanks everybody for being here. I just want to thank y'all for joining me once again. Hey, Rubber Ramada. So good to see you. Tell Meat that Harley said hello. She's kind of high right now because I had to give her trazodone to go get her nails done. So she's actually chill as a cucumber right this minute. We have been doing all the things today. So I had to get my dinner in and Mama called. So I had to talk to her real quick. So I appreciate y'all letting me play a couple of intros so I could check on Mama to make sure everything was going good with her and all is well. So we're going to just talk about all the things. Hey, to Jennifer. So good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. You think that's a cute pic of me and hubby? He's my sweetheart. He's in there babysitting the baby right now, watching his disc golf on TV. So he's been missing it. He hadn't got to play in his tournaments for the last few weeks because of his heat exhaustion. But he's trying to get prepared so he can go back to work full time because he's got some disc golf tournaments coming up. If y'all don't know what disc golf is, that is frisbee golf. Hubby's been playing for more than 20 years. He is in the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association, and he's played in a couple of world championships, and that's his jam. That's his thing. It's harder than it looks. Trust and believe. I almost took somebody's head off one time trying to throw the frisbee. Let's just say it did not go in the direction that it was intending. And we got a huge laugh out of that for sure. But that's his thing. So, and of course, got my Bulldog shirt on because Go Dogs is fixing to be football season again. And I can't wait for us to have all the chats about the college football because UGA is my team. And hey, Jason. It's good to see you. How are you doing tonight? I hope you're good. Thank you, Miss Southpaw. He's feeling a lot better. They do think that his kidneys are going to recover. It really sent his kidneys into a shock, needless to say. But he is feeling better. He's staying hydrated. And but he goes back to the doctor at the end of this month, and they're going to recheck all of his lab work. So we'll know more information at that time. You live close to Duke University? I go out there for my POTS, which is my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome that I have with my heart. That's where my doctor is. I was going to MUSC, but they closed their program down. So now I have to go to Duke. I'm trying to get up here in Charlotte, North Carolina, because they have a program up here, and that's actually closer to me. But it's beautiful out in that area. I'm originally from North Carolina myself, from the Triad area, Jennifer, and I'm sure you know where that is. These sticky things on this monitor itch touchy. Yes, I know. I'm so sorry. And Allie, you know that if you need anything, sis, I'm here for you. I hate wearing those damn monitors. They are so aggravating. And just make sure if you go to take that thing off that you get in the shower when you have to take those stickers off. Because if you don't, it will take your skin and everything with it. Follow me for more tips. I will never lead you astray. I love you too. You just moved 2 months ago? That's a really nice area out there. North Carolina has so many beautiful areas. I'm a Carolina girl at heart. So I love it. But I'm a Georgia fan. That's my college. Hey, T. Marie. I'm so glad to see you. How are you? Hope all has been good for you. It is so hot, y'all. It is so hot out here. I'm telling you what, I have never, but today we've been having a lot of thunderstorms, and the temperature actually dropped down to 75, and it feels so good outside. However, I'm having some flooding because of all the rain, but I'll take the temperature drop for sure. Now, don't forget, it's also Shark Week. And since I'm in Myrtle Beach, we have sharks everywhere. And I tell people all the time, sharks don't like the way humans taste. They might try to take a chunk out of you, but they probably won't eat you because they don't like the way we taste. You know, I knew you were going to say that, Jason. We're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about football. I'm going to have some people up on panel. I will put a link out. We will talk some serious football. And we got to get Michelle up here because, you know, she's a Tennessee fan. So, hey, Laughing Heart. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing good. You got relief there today? Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's right. That's why Jaws has been on nonstop. I think it's like the 50-year anniversary. Here's a couple pictures of some sharks that were caught off the coast of South Carolina here. How about that one for you? I got to go over here to the comments so I can see what y'all are saying. Because that's a pretty big one, y'all. We have some great whites out here. We have tiger sharks and all kinds of sharks out here. Look at the teeth on that thing. That's the real life Jaws right there. Yeah, that was caught off of, I think down off near Charleston. Yeah, you don't want to play around with that. Y'all know, a lot of y'all that have been here know my story where I almost drowned in the ocean in 2002. People don't think the sharks come in the intercoastal waterway, but honey, I'm here to tell you they do. We have had people catch tiger sharks in the intercoastal waterway off of their pier. It has happened. And they love to hang around the piers. If you come to the beach, you don't want to go swimming. And a lot of the surfers, they will swim near the piers because there's really good waves. But that's where the sharks hang out because that's where people are fishing. And a lot of people throw their bait in the water. And so you will see a lot of sharks around the piers. So if you come to the beach, don't go out there swimming next to the pier. Okay, listen, follow me for tips. I promise I will not lead you wrong. Here's another one that was caught. I mean, you cannot reason with those teeth, y'all. I'm just saying. I love to watch Shark Week, though. They always have some of the most incredible stories on there. So I just wanted to remind everybody that it is Shark Week. So they have Shark Week all week long on Discovery. So make sure that you are catching all of those things because when I'm not live, I'm catching up on all the real life stuff. And that's one of the things that I like to watch is Shark Week because I see them out here all the time. When I'm walking on the beach, we had some people out by, I think it was Springmaid Pier in North Myrtle Beach. And these people were in the water and there was 2 sharks out there fighting each other and they were right near the land. And people were running out of the water. And I was like, yeah, you better get on out of the water now because you don't want to be caught by one of them. I promise you. Jason says, I still go in the water in Florida, but I'm looking around for sure. Yeah, you got to keep your head on a swivel. That's right. That's right, Laughing Heart. Remember, sharks live in the ocean and we go into their house. Yeah, you don't want to play around with that. Hey, try me, bitch. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing good. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for being a member for 33 months. I really appreciate you supporting the channel and being such a good friend. Let me play my little members for all of my people so we can see the bus one more time.
Seatbelts, everyone! Double Dutch bus coming down the street.
That one cracks me up every time. It just does. I can't help it. I appreciate y'all being here. Where's your competition? I don't know. She might be busy. She might be eating dinner. Sometimes they go out to dinner. She might not be at home. Maybe she'll come in a little bit. T. Marie. That bus is something else, isn't it? That's the hot rod bus. Now, before we get started, I want to show y'all a couple pictures. We have this incredible photographer here in Myrtle Beach, and his name is Robbie Bischoff. And he takes some of the most incredible drone footage. If you guys follow me on my channel and you see my post, I shared some pictures that he took of the Carolina Country Music Festival. This year, he does all kinds of drone footage videos, incredible photographer. And I love his work. And I wanted to share some pictures of the Milky Way because if you guys don't know, you know how I really am into the space stuff. If you're over my Discord, you know that we have a place where we share all kinds of stuff. And just to let y'all know, a reminder, mark your calendars because starting on July the 20th, you should have been able to start seeing the front of the Pleiades star cluster. That is like a very stunning lunar occultation. And that is going to be the Pleiades. That is a star cluster that's 445 light years away in the constellation Taurus. And it has inspired myths for millennia. And that is from the Greek daughters of Atlas to Japan's Subaru, which means to unite. And that fleeting event reminds us of our connection to the cosmos. And that started on July the 20th. But the Perseids are back. And that is basically they glide through the cosmos, leaving behind this trail of dust. And the Perseid meteor shower is probably one of the most breathtaking things that you can ever watch. I've seen it here off the coast. And it's going to really be peaking about mid-August, but it is active right now. And under the dark skies, you can probably see up to 75 meteors an hour starting right now. And, you know, today is the 22nd. It's just going to get more and more visible. You really have to be out in the dark, but the colors of the Perseids really tell a story. Those space rocks blaze through the atmosphere at 130,000 miles per hour. and they burst into this really beautiful color, and they have all of these different hues. If you see red ones, those are made from oxygen and nitrogen, and the golden yellow ones, those are made from iron. The violet ones are made from calcium, and the orange ones are made from sodium, and the teal blue greenish ones have magnesium in them. It's like fireworks from the stars themselves, forged in space, glowing with identity. So we like to go out on the beach and watch the Perseid meteor shower. So make sure that you guys write that down on your calendar. It's really going to be the most active through the August the 24th, but I think it's probably going to peak between August 12th and 13th. So I wanted to let you guys know about it if you want to check that out. I think it's beautiful. You got on your Georgia Bulldogs, Miss W? Go Dogs, go Dogs. I think it's going to be a wild season. Yes, I have seen it. We have a lot of people that come out on the beach just to watch things like this. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures from Robbie Bischoff, who has been out taking pictures of the Milky Way on the ocean, right off the coast of where I live. So let me share a couple of these pictures with you. Here is a picture that he took, and you can see on the bottom there's the sand, but this is probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He has a telescopic lens on his camera where he takes these incredible pictures of the Milky Way. And here's another shot that he took with a couple of his friends where he's got his telescope out there. And that's right, taken, I think these were taken right south of me in Murrells Inlet. Hey, Carl. How you doing? It's good to see you. Hey, Trixie. I just thought these were some incredible shots. All credit to Robbie Bischoff. He's an incredible photographer. And these are some of my favorite photos that he takes. Because the space is it's so intriguing to know that all of this is out there. And I love this one, especially because it's got the sailboats that are out there on the beach. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's very peaceful at night on the beach. Hey, Dazed and Amazed. It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good evening. Carl says, it looks like the light is bouncing off the firmament to me. Yeah, it's pretty incredible, isn't it? So I wanted to share those with you because not everybody gets to see photos like that. Like to see it in real time. I mean, you have to have a special lens with your telescope, like a telescopic lens on the camera. But he takes some incredible photographs, and these are real. This is not an AI image, guys. This is actual footage, like off of the coast. That's what's out there in the night sky that you can't really pick up. So I just thought you guys might want to take a look at that. Pretty incredible. And we were talking about the heat earlier, and this is my list for all of my South Carolina's 11 seasons. You know, we got winter, then we got full spring, which means we can still get the freeze warning. Feels like it could possibly start getting warmer, but then bam, we start hitting the 30s again. Then we have the second winter and the third winter, and then we have the pollinating, you know, where it looks like it's snow, but it's actually pollen. And then we have the actual spring, and then we just got into summer, but we are here, right here, Hell's Front Porch. That is where we've been for the last 2 weeks here in South Carolina. We've been on Hell's Front Porch. And then after we go through this for the next, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks, we'll be in the false fall. It'll start to get cooler, But then wham, it's going to come back and whammy us with hurricanes and all kinds of humidity and heat. And then we'll have a second summer, and then we'll actually have actual fall. And this is the best way I can explain my weather. We don't have 4 seasons. We have 11 in South Carolina. So if you come here, you just need to know all the things. T. Marie says, did you know 1.3 million Earths can fit inside the sun? That is an incredible thought. My gosh. That is amazing to even fathom. Like, I cannot even wrap my head around that, T. Marie. Hey, Shauna, it's good to see you. Carl says, I'm more of a firmament guy, not so much into space. I love all the planets. Listen, I'm old school. I'm 51. I'll be 52 in January. And when I was in school, Pluto was still a planet. So I'm still sticking with justice for Pluto, because to me, Pluto's always going to be a planet, y'all. When my kid went through school, Pluto was no longer a planet. And I spent a lot of time trying to convince him that it still is a planet. I don't care what anybody says. Elizabeth, those pictures are in Discord under the space stuff chat, I think. I believe I posted them in there. You're jealous of my palmetto trees, my sable palms? I do love our palm trees for sure. You're on that front porch too, Jason? I believe it. The South has some crazy weather, and really it's the humidity. That's what really gets us. Yeah, I have a lot of palm trees where I'm at, but there are very few and far between in the upstate because the weather gets so cold. They don't do very well, you know. Wait a minute. Matthew East is your next door neighbor. He's a Charlotte weatherman. Yeah, I watch him. I think we talked about that one time, Elizabeth. Yes, Pluto is still a dang planet. It's more like Satan's sauna. It is, Jason. I'm telling you, this weather has been so hot. It was 108-degree heat index yesterday, but since this rain came in, it's really cooled off, and I am so thankful for that because I can finally go outside and get my breath. And I did post this on my community wall too, is that if this heat continues to go off the rails, I may just join the cicadas this summer and scream for 6 weeks straight. That cracked me up when I saw it because I was like, what in tarnation? But considering everything that's happening on YouTube and with the crazy weather, yeah, I may just resort to joining the cicadas and just start screaming. It's about all that I've got left in me. It's about all I can do. Oh my gosh. All right. So I have a local case that I had a couple people reach out to me and they were like, have you heard about this case in Horry County where you live? And yes, of course I've heard about it. So I wanted to, we've talked about corruption. We've talked about all the crazy stuff going on down here in Horry County. Horry County is the biggest county in South Carolina, but we're also the coastal county where Myrtle Beach is found. We call all of these little coastal towns in Horry County, we call that the Grand Strand. And we have all kinds of problematic situations going on. We have shootings. We have a lot of crime. We have trafficking. We have gang violence. We have corruption coming out of our ears. We have unsolved missing person cases. By the way, the 21-year-old that went missing out by Springmaid Pier in North Myrtle Beach, well, they haven't talked about him at all. We don't have a name. I have not heard one update about this 21-year-old person that went missing. I even contacted the news station to ask if they had gotten an update, and the answer was no. They have not heard anything about it. So that's crazy to me. So I'm just focusing on shining a light in my area because we have a lot going on here. Hey, Nana's Dragonfly, it's so good to see you. And Nana knows a lot about our area. And then I was just sharing some pictures. Some of these pictures were taken down, I believe, close to in the area that you are. I don't know if you know Robbie Bischoff, the photographer in Myrtle Beach that does a lot of drone stuff and takes a lot of pictures, but he flitters around the Grand Strand. Super nice guy. But we were sharing some pictures and of the Milky Way that he took off of our coast out here, and some really magnificent photos of the Milky Way out there over the Atlantic. And I think a couple of these photos were taken down here in Murrells Inlet, Pawleys Island area, and just incredible. If you guys are on Facebook, you can follow Robbie Bischoff's Facebook page. He has just incredible photos, and he's a super nice guy. He's the guy who I shared his pictures when he did the drone footage of the Carolina Country Music Festival. That was some pretty incredible photos. So I will share his link if you want to follow him on Facebook. If you're over there, he shares some pretty incredible pictures over there. So I just put his link in the chat if you guys want to go over there and follow him. He's a local guy. He's pretty amazing and talented. So hello, new kid in town. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Tree Lynn T. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Those pictures really are amazing. I agree, Jason, for sure. Hey, Lila, it's good to see you. And like I said, all credit to these pictures go to Robbie Bischoff. Incredible photographer. He does drone work, takes a lot of amazing pictures all up and down the Grand Strand here in South Carolina. So Laughing Heart says, Dutchie, did you hear about the judge, I think, that kicked his wife out of the car? Somebody's asked me that, and I have been running errands the last couple days, and I have not got a chance to catch up on that. But we might have to deep dive into that after we talk about this case in Horry County that happened up in Green Sea Galivants Ferry. So we're going to jump into that, and then I'm going to take a look. I'm going to have to look and see what I can find on that. And like I said, if you're coming in late, don't forget, y'all, it's Shark Week. Stay vigilant. If you're vacationing on the coast of the Atlantic or in the Gulf, because they are out there. And yes, this is a real picture of a real great white shark that was caught down near Charleston. And here's another one. This was caught more closer to home. I think this was around Murrells Inlet, somewhere between Murrells Inlet, Georgetown. Look at them teeth, y'all. You don't want to play around. You don't want to play around with these guys right here. But I do love Shark Week. I just think it's so interesting. You can actually watch the sharks. They have trackers in a lot of these sharks, and they watch them migrate from New England all the way down to Florida. And, they let us know when they're coming back, back and forth, crossing into South Carolina. And I have to tell people, like, I live here. I live right on the Intercoastal Waterway. I can see the waterway from my bedroom window looking out here. Yes, there can be sharks in the Intercoastal Waterway. I have watched a couple of my neighbors catch a tiger shark right off their dock. They're usually not in the Intercoastal Waterway, but they can be in there. Revivals, hey, good to see you, Revivals World. Revival says, I've been listening while touching grass. Well, that's good, Revival. Touching grass is critical to keep grounded. Hey, Chris, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining the membership again. I'm so glad to see you back. Appreciate y'all being here. Yeah, you don't want to FAFO with them, Lala. I'm telling you right now, them teeth, especially this one right here, that scares me. But I tell you what, when you come out here, we can find some of the, I go out on Cherry Grove Point. We find so many shark's teeth out on Cherry Grove Point. That's probably about 1.5 miles from my house. I just go right over the swing bridge into Cherry Grove Beach. That's the closest beach to me. That's on the north end of North Myrtle Beach, and we can find some incredible shells, sand dollars, starfish, but just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shark's teeth. So, Chris said, Duchess, did you see my community post about Sullivan's Island with the shark bite last week? I did not, Chris. We'll have to check that out. Hey, two old crows. From Panama City Beach, I never feared a shark. Well, I don't fear a shark because let me just tell you, I don't get in the water anymore. Not that much. I have been out on a jet ski with Shay to go back to the jetty when we've been out there just making some videos, going back out there to kind of rewalk the steps about Tyler Doyle's case. I have been out there. I've been on some fishing excursions with some of our neighbors that have fishing charters and stuff like that. But as far as jumping back out in them deep waters again, not since 2002, honey. I learned my lesson the hard way. Kenna B, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. So now that I got that out of the way, I just wanted to share that little bit of stuff with you before we got started. So we're going to look at, and thank goodness, Law and Crime Network actually covered this case. So I'm going to play a couple videos. We're going to stop, give a little commentary, but I really want you guys to get the gist of how crazy this homicide case is. This case happened in 2023. This gentleman went missing right before Tyler Doyle went missing. And when Tyler came up missing, this case had just had these people arrested, but it's been sitting there waiting for these people to go to trial to find out what was going to happen. And the sad part about this case, involves a mother and her children who unalived this man. And we're not talking about in self-defense or anything like that. We're talking about a heinous crime that took place. And you won't believe it unless you hear it from Law and Crime Network, because I can't even explain how crazy this is. And to take it a step further, you guys know I've talked about the Scott Spivey case. Scott Spivey was from Tabor City, North Carolina, which is on the border of North and South Carolina. And Green Sea, Galivants Ferry, that is right by Tabor City. And this gentleman that went missing, he was from Tabor City. Yes, that is correct. And you can find the links in the description about Corey Soules and this homicide that took place in the description of this video. Now, Corey was from Chadbourn, North Carolina, but he was actually from in between Tabor City and Chadbourn. Those towns are kind of very close to each other, but they're bordering towns right on the North Carolina, South Carolina border. And it's so interesting to me how all of these different little communities have so many connecting cases that have this nefarious, these things going on. You know, we got Scott Spivey from Tabor City. Now we've got another homicide situation. Adam Corey Soules. He was only 29 years old, guys, when he was reported missing on January the 10th of 2023 near Galivants Ferry, South Carolina. And like I said, that is on the border of the North Carolina, South Carolina line. He left behind a wife and 3 children, according to his obituary. And according to his family, he was a loving father, a son, a hard worker, and a man who loved the outdoors. And I know after seeing this case come to fruition, I do hope that this outcome will provide Mr. Soules' family with at least a sense of justice, you know, because nothing else can replace a family member whose life was taken in such a manner as this. And so that's why I want you guys to hear about this case, because the awareness, it just says a lot about the stuff that's going on in my county, because it's a lot. And Chris, when I'm done with this, I want you to remind me so I can look up that. And I also want to look up the that other case too, wine, crime, and mayhem. Thank you so much for being here. Was Scott Spivey the tow truck driver or the one Weldon was involved in? Scott Spivey was the one that was unalived by Weldon Boyd. Yeah, he lost his life. And I do have 3 videos on my channel in regards to the Scott Spivey case. I know Scott Spivey's sister, Jennifer. She's a wonderful young lady. She is a teacher, and she is fighting for justice for her brother. And we're just showing her as much support as we can as this case goes forward. If you watch my last video, I give you the updates that she gave to me. I was not able to attend that because obviously they did not have the case here in Horry County, considering that there was 2 police officers that are no longer with the force because of things that were done in this case that I do not support. So this case was actually being heard in Lawrence County, South Carolina. So make sure you go over there and watch that video, give it a like and a share. And I do know that they are going to go forward with the civil suit case against Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Williams. And I don't have a date and time when that will be. But as soon as I have any new information on that case, I will definitely bring you all of the updates. All right, let's get into it. Before we get started, though, I do want to give you a red. Gotta have a red.
Warning. This episode contains content that may be disturbing or sensitive to listeners. Discretion is advised.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump right into it. Hold, please. Oh my gracious. Now, I'm going to start out with WECT News. The family that's sorry that they got caught. This family was sentenced in the murder of a Columbus County man. That county is, of course, in North Carolina. And I just want you guys to watch this short video from WECT News 6. And you can find the link to this video. I do believe that I put it in the description of this video. If I didn't, I will be sure to link it down there. I do think there is another one from WPDE. Let me see if I can go over here and grab this link. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull this link because I want to be able to drop it into chat for you guys. And I will also add it to the description. Two Old Crows, thank you so much for joining the Dutch Bus. Welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you. I appreciate your support. All right, so we have the WECT News 6, and I'm going to drop their link. And before we get started, I also should just go ahead Copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Welcome, Wine, Crime, and Mayhem. I appreciate you joining up to the Dutch Bus. Welcome. I appreciate your support. All right, so let's get over here. I'm going to play there's a little video that goes along with this article, and I want you guys to see it because I think it's very important.
Several people have pleaded guilty for their roles in killing a man from Columbus County.
Let me see if I can get this louder. Let me take it back. I want to get this volume up.
Tonight at 11, several people have pleaded guilty for their roles in killing a man from Columbus County. Adam Solz's family reported him missing in January of 2023. Investigators found him dead in Horry County just a few days later. WECT's Anaya Cromartie has details on the court case and about what Solz's family had to say about it. So how do we know about this, and what do we know tonight, Anaya?
Well, John, 4 members of the same family pleaded guilty for their roles in killing Adam Solz. A judge sentenced them this week. Samantha Watts received a 45-year sentence for pleading guilty to a murder charge for Solz's death. Peyton Watts got 35 years for the same plea. For pleading guilty to accessory after the murder, Amber Watts got 5 years probation. And Jonathan Watts pleaded guilty for assault and battery and will be released on time served. But the sentence for one of those defendants could change, and that bothers Adam Solz's mother.
Chrissy Priest has waited 2.5 years to get justice for her son Adam's death. Investigators say Adam went to South Carolina in January of 2023, where 4 members of the Watts family beat him, put him in a wheelchair, and then beat him again, this time badly enough to kill him.
They killed him, tortured him. They didn't just walk up and shoot him with a gun and kill him. They tortured him and let him sit there and suffer. And nobody's calling to get him help, to take him to the hospital, nothing.
The Watts family all pleaded guilty this week for their roles in the murder. But Samantha Watts, who accepted a deal with solicitors to plead guilty to murder in exchange for a 45-year prison sentence, is trying to have that reduced. Priest can't believe that request is being considered.
I'm upset now that they want to go back to have it lowered. If anything, it should be more. I'll never see Adam again. She should never see the light of day.
I spoke to the solicitor.
And that right there is exactly why we're talking about this. She wants to get a reduced sentence. No. When you guys hear about, y'all, this is not what you think. This isn't like self-defense or he did something to them. Y'all, she had her kids. We're talking about 8 people that broke this man's leg, had him duct tape in a wheelchair, and beat him for 2 days solid in a shed. They had this man locked up in a shed. Trigger warning. I'm telling you, that's why I played the trigger warning. You got to be kidding me right now. And then she wants to be given grace? Are you kidding me? Her son was 16 years old at the time that he did this. In which there's other information that you're going to hear from Law and Crime Network. So I want you guys to put on your seatbelts, get your tinfoil hats, and make sure you got your holy water. Because when you get ready to hear this next part, I'm telling you, it's going to really bother you, because anybody who will let their kids get involved in trying to murder a disabled man and the excuses that they gave about why the mother wanted it to be done. Mm-mm. Yeah, I agree, Miss W. There is a special place for people that do that, and it's called hell. Okay? And I do hope that they serve every minute. And listen, I know some of them are kids. There is 2 juveniles that are not even named. There's a total of 8 people. And some in that past 2 years, a couple of them have aged up, which is why you actually see some of her kids on here. But 2 of them were underage. They were under 18 at the time of this crime. Hey, Betty Joe, FAFO, it's good to see you. I hope you're good. This case bothers me so much, I just don't even know. So again, this is Law and Crime Network. Fair use. I don't want to really talk a whole lot through this because there is critical information that I want you guys to catch in this. So we may have to stop it. We may have to replay some parts. If there's something that you guys miss and you need to rehear something, I'll be watching chat. Let me know. But this did not have to end this way. And to know what was done to this man, I'm going to make my screen big so you guys can see it better. There we go. To know what was done to Adam Corey Souls, it really makes me feel sick. And more people need to know about these nefarious crimes because, again, this mother, this 40-year-old mother of all of these kids, before we even get started, and you're going to hear it in this, she was a drug kingpin here, okay? She was running a huge drug ring, selling all kinds of illegal drugs. And guess who she had helping her to sell those drugs? I'll let you go ahead and just take a big guess. 3 of them was on the screen just then. She has them to do her dirty work. And her reasoning is that she wanted to say that this guy, she believed that he was stealing drugs from her. And then another reason she allegedly said was that one of her kids said that he hit his wife. I kid you not. And that's why they tortured and killed him. Yeah. Hey, Twist. I'm sorry, but and here's the other thing I think that, and listen, another trigger warning. According to what the reporter said, and I believe that it is discussed in this too, she basically was grooming her then, this had been going on a while, the 16-year-old that basically did most of the terrible stuff. She had started giving him cocaine and marijuana from the time he was 12 years old to groom him to do what she wanted him to do. Kennedy, that's exactly right. She is pure evil. Anybody who will give their kid, or kids, I should say, drugs to get them to do what you want them to do, she never needs to see the light of day. I agree, Betty Jo. She should be under the prison cell. And she is pleading for them to cut her sentence down. Y'all, I just cannot stand by that at all. Oh my gosh, 2 old crows. That's terrible. All right. So again, fair use. This is Law and Crime Network. They have the best compiled information in this 22 minutes. And I need for you guys to really listen in because it's unbelievable. But this is the best case analysis that I can give you. And I want you guys to be the best educated about this case because these are the kind of crimes that we're dealing with in our county. And why cases like Scott Spivey, Tyler Doyle, the Murdaugh cases, J.P. Miller, like all of these things happening in South Carolina, this is why we have to take a stand because some of these families are not getting justice. All right, so we're going to get started now. If you have any problems here in the video, let me know. If you need me to stop the video, I'll be watching chat. And I thank you so much, guys, for joining me to listen about this case. And again, the title of this is Drug Queenpin Used on Kid to Kill Disabled Man.
It's been 2 years since the body of 29-year-old Corey Souls was found. His body was wrapped in tarps and weighed down with cement blocks. He was found in Galivants Ferry, South Carolina, about an hour away from Myrtle Beach. Corey had been reported missing just days earlier, and what began as a missing persons case quickly turned into a homicide investigation. Police say the 29-year-old was attacked by a group of people, and witness testimony and video surveillance backed that up. The footage reportedly showed him even losing consciousness during the beating. An autopsy confirmed that Souls died from blunt force trauma, and he suffered 8 to 10 blows to the head. That investigation led to the arrest of several people, including 4 members of the same family, Samantha Watts and her children, Peyton, Jonathan, and Amber. Samantha was first arrested on drug charges, but later she and her children were charged in connection with Souls' death. It was revealed that Samantha ran a drug distribution business and controlled her family, using Peyton, who was just 16 years old at the time, as her muscle. Prosecutors said that Samantha Watts and her 2 sons beat Souls with an iron pole, and that Souls was in a wheelchair during the assault because he had a broken leg from an earlier attack by Peyton. The arrest documents did not reveal a motive. However, prosecutors said Samantha exercised control over her family and orchestrated the assault. Corey had been...
That is crazy. Exercised control over her family and orchestrated the assault. These are not good people, y'all. Yes, her kids can be. I mean, it's crazy. I dropped the link in the chat to this video. If I need factual information, this is where I go to get it on any of my court stuff. Law and Crime Network is excellent. Of course they're not, Chris. She's a drug queenpin of the county. This is horrific. Like I said, seatbelts. If you are easily triggered by things like this and you need to join us another time, like I completely understand. Please do come back for another live stream. But the awareness is so important because we have so many nefarious crimes happening in our county, in our state. And this is why I feel like reviewing this and hearing about these situations are so important because we have to stay vigilant about what's going on in our communities. The First Lady does look like Tammy Moore to Old Crow. She sure does. She sure does. And that's another nefarious woman in the Heather Elvis case. Yeah, I can't stand them either. Oh my gosh. There's another case. I mean, there's so much going on just in my county alone. It's insane.
Living in the home at the time, reportedly as an acquaintance of one of the adult children. Now, this week, just before the trial was set to begin, the Watts family admitted to their roles in the murder. Samantha and Peyton both pleaded guilty to murder. Amber pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact to murder under the Youthful Offender Act and was sentenced to 6 years suspended release to 5 years of probation. Samantha's other son, 21-year-old Jonathan, pleaded guilty to first-degree assault and battery under the Youthful Offender Act and was sentenced to time served. A judge sentenced Samantha to 45 years in prison and Peyton to 35 years. Their sentences are day for day, meaning.
Can you imagine? I mean, I'm a mother. I have one child. He's going to be 32. Can I even fathom being the kind of mother that is going to use my own kid to do something like that to someone else? Never in a million years would that cross my mind. Yes, my county, Elizabeth. This is in Horry County. This is about, I would say it's about 40 minutes kind of northwest of me. Yeah.
They must serve every single day imposed. Corey Souls would have turned 31 this year. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. And here to break down the story with me is criminal defense attorney John Day. John, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
This is why I feel like it's important, because I really want to hear John Day break this down. He does look like such a good, happy man, doesn't he? I mean, yeah, she must have not been using her own stuff, 2 old crows for sure.
So let's jump right in. When 2 defendants plead guilty to murder just days before the trial, like in this case, what does that timing suggest about what may have been happening behind the scenes?
Right. Well, what it suggests to me, especially when you look at the 2 younger members of this 4-person family that were facing these charges in connection with the murder, the 2 younger members get basically time served, plea deals, or very little time on probation, which certainly might indicate there was the prosecution was able to flip them, turn them into possible witnesses for the prosecution. The mother in the case, then the son, who was 16 at the time of the murder and 18 now, are getting many, many years in prison. Mom's going to be almost 90 when she gets out.
Hey, nonsense. Hope you're doing good.
Son will be in his early 50s. What that tells us is that they were making a gamble going to trial. They waited until the last minute. They decided this was a better outcome than what a jury trial would have gotten them. So
I have to agree with that, because I think the jury would have thrown them under the bus even further. Hey, honey elder. Good to see you.
You got to give credit to the prosecution for possibly flipping the 2 younger members to testify against mom and older brother.
I'm sure if they didn't flip them 2, they probably let them know that there was going to be a hefty price to pay. And I mean, they're just kids. Those other 2 are still minors. Those other 2 are still minor children, and they were all involved in this homicide. Nonsense, thank you so much for the $19.99. I really appreciate you supporting.
Law and crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? They're ready to stand up for families.
Okay, we don't need to hear about Morgan and Morgan.
Given your experience, do you think that this was a good deal? Like, do you think that if they would have went to trial, they could have gotten more time?
Yeah, I mean, that's, they're not going to take a deal like this unless there's some benefit to them. And obviously the defense team for the defendants had evaluated the evidence, weighed all the possibilities, and said, look, if you don't take this deal, it could be much, much worse. There's, it's not the death penalty you're facing, but it is basically, at least for mom, the rest of her life as an adult in the state prison system. And for the young man who was, apparently identified as the enforcer for this, literally a drug family, he gets.
This young kid at the time of this crime was 16 years old. And his mother, this is the kid that the mother had been giving drugs to since he was 12, y'all. And we're talking about hard drugs. This is so sad to use him as the enforcer. How many other cases, how many other situations has this kid been an enforcer? I mean, I agree too, Old Crows. Let's hope the DOC gives these children some tools to know how to deal in a real world when they are released. Because look with how they've been raised up since a very young age. This burns me up.
To get out, he'll be in his early 50s because under the South Carolina law, they're each doing day for day. They're not getting any credit, not getting out early on probation or parole. So they've got to do the full sentence. But that's what they do with their defense team. They evaluate what the possibilities are, and they determine that, you know, the chances of getting convicted are pretty significant. The chances of us getting an acquittal are slim. So we better go with this deal.
And I'm glad you brought that up, day-to-day sentences. If you can explain just more in depth, like what that is and how rare is that level of accountability in plea deals?
Right. Most states have a situation where if a defendant's sentenced for a case that they're doing a certain percentage of the time, because states often build in good time credit when someone's sitting in a state prison. And one of the reasons they do that is the state prison system wants to have an incentive to have prisoners basically behave when they're inmates in the state system. So it's a carrot and a stick type deal where if you're an inmate, you know that if you behave, you're going to get time shaved off your sentence. Not happening in this case. In South Carolina, under this plea deal, they're going to do every single day of the sentence, 45 years for the mom, 35 years for the.
And they should do every single day. Every single day.
Son. So they're not looking to get out anytime early, and they're not going to get any reduction in their sentence. That's part of the deal.
Is this a deal that you think you would have taken if you were their defense attorney? Of course, I know you probably would have had to read over every piece of evidence, but just knowing what we know, because with the mom getting day to day, I mean, that is life, right? Not many people live until 90. And then even for the son getting out when he's about 50 years old. What do you think?
Right. I mean, obviously, and I think it's a good question. If you're a defense attorney in that position, you are telling your client, look, here's how I think this is going to go. Are we going to get an acquittal in this case? No. Are we going to be facing much more time? Yes. You know, what has the state offered? The state obviously feels confident. The prosecutors feel confident in their case, but they're also willing to agree to a deal like this because it doesn't put anyone else through the expense of a trial. No one has to live through that. And it does indicate that there may have been some benefit to the two younger members of the family who were looking at a lot of time.
Look at this young girl who was also involved in this. Hey, Daddy's girl. Thank you for being here. Laughing Heart said, think it has to go deeper than the mother. She must have been groomed herself in order to groom her kids to this degree. Where's the daddy to these kids? That's one of the questions I had. I want to know what happened to him. Because it's definitely a learned behavior. Because how was this mama raised? There's a good chance that these kids' fathers, I mean, do they have different dads? Do they have the same dad? Where are these dads? How did she get custody of all the kids? And they called her the drug queen pin. Where's all the other family? I mean, no one's looking out for these kids? Well, Chris, you do have a fair point there. It is a vicious cycle for sure, Twist. This is just, it's not good.
Time too, and now they're basically getting a pretty good deal. One of them just gets time served. The other one gets, I think, a little bit of time on probation. But I think it suggests anyway that the prosecutors had gotten them ready to testify against the other family members in this case, which is really bizarre and troubling and disturbing. The idea that this was literally a crime family, not like we ordinarily think of crime families. It's not like a mafia, a mob, a big city mob crime family. It's a rural, apparently drug-connected operation where the mom was running the show, and the younger son, 16-year-old son, was the muscle. He was the enforcer, is what the law enforcement says.
Let's dive more into those charges. I mean, if you could explain what exactly is assault and battery by mob, and how is that legally different from just being involved in a group fight?
Right, and then that jurisdiction, it means that there is basically a group of people who participate in the crime and the violent crime. I mean, the poor victim who apparently was in a wheelchair because he had suffered a broken limb, a broken leg, inflicted by the enforcer on the family, the 16-year-old.
See, he was in a wheelchair because already the 16-year-old had broken his leg. So out the gate, this man is in a wheelchair because the 16-year-old had broken his leg. Elizabeth said, if not caught, it could have been another generation. I know, her daughter is adorable. It's just so sad. Chris said Galivants Ferry is your backwards little area where your brother is probably your cousin. Well, I was going to say something about Tyler's case because there's somebody involved in Tyler Doyle's case, and that's where they're from. That's where they have family from. I've been through there a lot. It's very, very poor. There's not a lot out there. I mean, it's in the middle of nothing, y'all. A lot of farmland. It's not near anything. The fact that she has used her kids in this manner to do her work for her. God, it just pisses me off.
The teenage son who was working for his mom as the muscle, as the guy who physically enforced the rules of the family. So the mob charge involves a number of other, and there are other people who are convicted in this. They're not facing the most serious charges, but there were some other defendants who pled to the mob assault charge. And that just means that there are a number of people engaged in an attack on a victim. So
there was 8 people, by the way. That's how many people participated in this man's beating and death. 8 total people.
Not nearly as serious as the murder charges, but the idea that this was a group of people all working together in a criminal enterprise, according to law enforcement, it was drug related. We haven't gotten specific information on what the motive was for the killing, but you have to remember that the poor victim was in a wheelchair when he was murdered, apparently, and he was in a wheelchair because of the broken leg inflicted by the son who pled guilty.
Now, I will tell you that according to another article that I do have attached in the description of this video with the Post and Courier, it does state in there, in this particular article, and I'll read you a little section from that. Let's see if I can find it in this one here. It says that the mother and the 16-year-old, because he was 16 at the time, admitted that they killed Corey Adams Souls, 29-year-old father from Chadbourn, North Carolina, out of the mother's revenge plot against him for allegedly stealing some drugs and hitting his then wife, Courtney Souls. And that was according to what prosecutors said in the trial. And a lot of this information comes from the assistant solicitor, Brandon Lanier. He's the one who helped to prosecute this case. So even though this guy says that the motive is not known, supposedly that's what the assistant prosecutor stated in the trial, is that was the motive. The mother thought that he had stolen drugs from her because apparently he was staying at the house temporarily, which it's unknown if that was even true or not, why he was even staying there. He had a wife and kids. And according to his mother, some of the things that Samantha Watts, the person who carried out this nefarious plot, this drug queen pin, the things that she was saying was not true. Layla said, I was just saying getting the kids addicted very young is actually affecting the wiring of their brains, and I pray for the best. I just mean to emphasize how nefarious that is to do. Yes, absolutely. And obviously, she is not thinking about them because, to me, she's a selfish narcissist. Anyone who would put their children in a dangerous situation like this, she doesn't care about those kids. She should have never had custody of those kids to begin with. Yet here we are in the middle of this case, and you have these kids that are going to be doing a lot of time. They're going to be scarred for life. I just want to know where their father is. I just want to know where their other family members are. Do they have grandparents? Do they have aunts and uncles? Where are they at? Elizabeth said, you have generational wealth or generational poverty. Very true. And just because you're poor doesn't mean that you have to be a bad person. It doesn't mean you have to make bad, nefarious choices that endanger your children. My grandparents, they didn't have a lot of money, but their house was clean. You could eat off my grandma's floors, but they didn't have a lot of money. They lived in an old farmhouse. But I bet my grandma swept that floor 30 times a day. Her home was clean as a whistle. Her kitchen was clean as a whistle. Two things can be true. You can be clean and not have a lot of money. Yeah, Two Old Crow says, really, none look like they have a drug issue, really. That's what really was very interesting to me, was that the prosecutor brought up the fact that she had been, according to the prosecutor now, and this is also in the Post and Courier article. Like I said, if you want to read the article in full, we can review it after this video. I will show it on screen and we can read through it. But in that article, it does state that Samantha Watts, the mother, reportedly started supplying her son with drugs like marijuana, pills, and cocaine when he was 12 years old, which prosecutors said was her way of grooming him to do what she wanted. She provided a daily supply of drugs for her son as long as he acted as her muscle, according to the prosecutor, Lanier, who is the assistant solicitor. And he said this was not a case where we might have looked at the older person and said they could have gotten themselves out of that environment. They could have done something else. And then he said, this boy had nowhere to go. There was no other way to describe it than Miss Watts failed her son. She failed her children. Now, I also did see that when they went to trial, that the son, Peyton, did start crying at his sentencing, and apparently his grandmother was there at the sentencing, and a couple of his friends and a pastor asked the judge for leniency. And he did tell the court that he took full responsibility for his actions and that he understood that his actions have consequences and that he is going to have to deal with those consequences. And he said since he had been incarcerated, he had gotten his GED and he had been attending religious programs and things of that nature, and that he feels with more time that he could complete more and rebuild himself to make himself a better person. And he said, I know it's a horrible situation, but all I can do is try to make the best of it, and I can't change the past, but I can try to make the best of the future. But he's got a lot of time to do. And like I said, I think he'll be 50 years old when he gets out. So it's really a sad case because it all stems back to the mother. You know, and I do hope sometimes lessons, this is a hard lesson. Hey, Bobo, it's good to see you. Yes, 12, Chris. And like I said, if you want to check out that Post and Courier article, if you need the link to that, it is in the description of this video, along with the Law and Crime link. So we're going to play this video out, and then I'll share that article with you.
And just more on the son, right, who was a teenager when he's still a teenager, but he was, a minor when this crime happened. Are you surprised that they weren't able to get, I don't know, some lesser charges, given the fact of what the prosecutor said of the mom just controlling everything and making him do this and calling him the muscle at 16 years old? I mean, most 16-year-olds are learning how to drive or they're going to prom, but this one was forced to be in this type of crime family, it appears.
Right. And that's a really interesting part of this, because if you were defending this 16-year-old as a defense lawyer, you'd be saying, look, our defense is that he's under his mom's absolute control. I mean, he's grown up, as her son. He's 16 at the time of this crime. You've got to, if you're defending the case, you've got to be delving into what type of manipulation was the mom exerting over him? What was his role in the family? How?
Look what we got here. Chico's in chat. Chico, what you think about all this? Have you been listening? Chico said everyone lost with this one. Flashing the money, because here we have Peyton Watts looking like, well, I mean, his mama's a queen pin drug dealer in the county. I mean, he's the enforcer. He's the muscle. Here he is flaunting the money. I cannot even. It did not say why the woman thought he was stealing. It said that was just the reason that she gave in court. And it also said that he hit his wife. And that just sealed the deal on why they decided to do what they did. That's all I know, Kennedy. But I just wonder if it's going to be addressed, at any given point in this. But you know how it is when you're flashing money on your Instagram or on your Facebook, on your TikTok. It's not good, y'all.
How much ability did he have to get out of the situation? Had he been sort of raised like an attack dog by mom at an early age? And so what was his culpability? And that makes it interesting that he did accept that this was the plea that his team accepted, because they may have been concerned that there was not enough in their defense war chest to say, look, this guy was just a victim of his mom's manipulation. He himself was a victim. We ought to look at him as someone who had no other options. Mom was calling the shots. Mom had him under her thumb. You know, he was doing the work that mom wanted him to do. So when you're defending something like that, you're going to want to, the card you want to play is this poor kid had no choice. He had no way to get out of this. He was being manipulated. In this case, apparently his defense team thought this is the better outcome for us because we don't think we're going to be able to convince a jury that that's going to work.
Would you suggest that he appeals and gets a new team?
Well, if he's making this deal, if he's taking this deal, most likely part of the deal is he gives up any right to appeal. I mean, he can certainly raise issues down the road of things like, you know, did his lawyers, were they giving him the right advice? And those would be more issues related to lawyer responsibility claims. But at the end of the day, you've got to assume that the analysis by his defense team, by the young man's defense team was, this is the best we're going to get. We're not going to be able to prove to a jury that he was manipulated by mom to the extent that he was not culpable for his own actions. He was not guilty for his role in the murder because, you know, mom was in control and had him brainwashed, basically. So they probably apparently thought that's not going to fly.
Wow. And he could have gotten more time. You know, when you sit before a jury of your peers, the sentence could have been greater. You know, I'm doing well, Kylie. I hope you're doing good. Twist said, in my opinion, that is what he knew, never cultured, and given better options. I will agree with that. This is what these kids were raised up. They don't know any different. This is what they knew. This is the life that like to them, this is normal. Like what we consider normal in our lives, they don't know any different because this is how they've been raised up since they were young. Wine, Crime, and Mayhem says, mom was still manipulating those kids while they were all sitting in jail. Yeah, absolutely. And even though it's hard to even imagine that, but that's their mother. And like I said, after all of these years of, well, literally brainwashing them, like that this is normal, this is okay, you have to do what I say, you know? I hope you have a good night, Kylie. Get yourself some rest. It is sad, Elizabeth, that parents can manipulate their children to do these things. And it happens a lot of times, and you may not even realize it. And it's because situations like this happen, and you don't know the family dynamics of a scenario like this until they're caught. Until it comes out in the public eye that a nefarious crime or some type of situation has occurred. My question is, the grandmother that was there in court, along with the preacher and his friends that pled for Peyton to get a lesser sentence, well, where was the grandmother when all of this was taking place? Because if she was there, I'm of the thought process that the grandmother knew what was going on. What are y'all's thoughts? Because the grandmother's there in court. Where was the grandmother when these kids were being put through this? Remember, I did read you the statement from the assistant solicitor that said, you know, the kids confessed that, well, she had been giving him pills and marijuana and cocaine since he was 12 years old. This crime didn't happen until he was 16, y'all. 12 years old. Where was the grandmother from the time these kids were 12 years old? That's what I want to know. Because that is not looking good to me either. I am not inclined to take what the grandmother has to say into consideration, because where was you? Where was you when these kids were living with their mother and being brainwashed and given drugs? It's a no for me. Sit down. Get out of here with that mess. That concerns me because is this the grandmother that is Samantha Watt's mother? Because we don't know. I have not heard anything about these children's father. And it makes me wonder if the grandmother was okay with all this. Well, what kind of life did Samantha grow up in with her mother? Twist said, my gram dug bullets out of backs in the kitchen. Too much information. Well, listen, none of us are perfect. And sometimes I just feel terrible for the kids. You know, because kids don't get to pick their parents. Kids don't get to pick who raises them up. And I just hate it for these children that they have had to endure this life, and now they have to endure these consequences because their mother made shitty choices and put them in harm's way and enabled them to do something so heinous to another person that it took his life. That's on her. But when you become of age, and I do believe that a 16-year-old knows full and well that at any time exactly, you know, what they're doing. And he can't just blame all of that on his mom. Although he may have felt like he had to do whatever his mama said, he's still going to have to pay the price, y'all. Poor choices equal poor consequences. And it's really, really sad. And this is in my own county, y'all. It infuriates me to know that these adults out here that don't give a shit about their children and allowed this to happen, and then she wants to plead for lesser time? Absolutely not. In my opinion, she should have got more than 45 years. Twist said, I had my own place at 16, boundaries. I get it. I do. I get it. All right, let's continue.
Well, given the range of charges in this case, from murder to accessory to mob assault, how unusual, or maybe it's more common than we think, is it to see a single family involved in a case with such layered legal responsibility?
Right. And that is an unusual situation. I mean, again, the general idea of a crime family tends to be some kind of organized crime racketeering deal, something out of the Northeast or some big city where it's all members of either a cultural group or an association or literal family members, but it spreads out over a number of different areas like, you know, racketeering or drugs or money laundering or prostitution or whatever it is. That's sort of the typical conventional wisdom idea of a crime family. This was literally, in the eyes of law enforcement, a crime family. I mean, it was the bottom line apparently was drug distribution, drug operations, although that's not what they were specifically charged with, but law enforcement has indicated that that's what was going on. So you had mom as the mastermind, you had her 16-year-old son as the muscle, and we can assume that means, you know, physically inflicting pain on people for whatever reason, whether they're not paying or they're not cooperating or they're.
And that tells me right there that this was not the first time he'd been the enforcer either. How many other people have been beaten up and injured by this kid? Think about that. This is just the first person that was murdered, okay? But how many other people have been harmed in the past because of his mother making him be the enforcer? Let that sink in.
Operating a rival operation, and you have other members of the family involved. So it's literally a family that apparently grew up in the last several years with, you know, the idea that violence and drug operations and conspiracy to commit these things was part of normal family life. And that's why.
Boom. Right there. Just part of normal family life. This is what they think is normal because that's how they were raised. Chris said, I wonder what she would have done if the other person would have injured or killed her son. That's a good question. I can only imagine. Beating a helpless man. I cannot. I just... I'm sure she didn't, Chico. I'm sure she didn't consider her children children at all. Because anybody who considers their children as children would want to protect them from things like this, knowing full well that something dangerous could happen to them at any given time because of the reckless behavior and running this drug operation that she was running. She knew full stop what and all was involved, and she allowed it. And that's why I don't believe 45 years is enough for her. She might be 90 when she gets out. I don't even know if she'll make it that long. But she needs to serve every single day. She should have gotten life without parole.
It's such an unusual case because normally crime families don't look like, you know, the average family in your neighborhood.
Right. And moving on to the daughter, Amber Watts. She pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact. What makes someone legally responsible after a murder happens?
What did this person do? What did the defendant do? What were her actions? What was her involvement? How conscious was she of what was going on? The fact that she gets such a pretty lenient outcome, and for her purposes, it's a great outcome considering what other members of the family.
Well, I'll tell you what she did. Amber, right here in this picture, pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact to murder under the Youthful Offender Act and was sentenced to 6 years in prison, suspended to 5 years probation. And she admitted she helped get a car for her mother and brother to use and provided cinder blocks to them, which was tied to the body. But she did not help dispose of the body. Amber had reportedly moved out of her mother's house because she disagreed with her mother's business and behavior, according to her attorney, Barbara Pratt, said at her sentencing. She only returned to the house between January 8th and 9th of 2023 after Peyton Watts called and asked her for help in the aftermath of Soul's death. That was her involvement, just so we're clear. She was not living at home because she did not agree with what her mother was doing, but she came back to the house because her brother Peyton called her and said, "We're going to need your help." And that's how she got herself into this mess. She should have never went. And no, she didn't help dispose of the body, but she brought the cinder blocks that were found tied to his body. And she provided a vehicle for them to move the body. So that is accessory after the fact. So that is helping.
We're facing. So it indicates either that the prosecutors thought her culpability was so low, or some kind of a deal where she was going to testify about her knowledge of the rest of the family's activities against mom and her brother and anybody else who's involved. So we don't know yet what the motive was for the prosecution to offer that deal, but it just simply was going to reflect the level of her involvement. May have been minimal, or she may have been a key witness to flip on her family members.
Sometimes in these,
She was definitely going to be a witness because of all of what I just told you. Chico said, yeah, I would have told my brother good luck. Yeah, don't call me to help with shit. Yeah, exactly.
these cases, we see things like, once you've been charged or sentenced, you're not able to talk to maybe other criminals or other felons. Do we know, or can we assume that in this case, the family will no longer be able to communicate with each other since mom and brother are locked up and the other two siblings are, either on probation or did time served?
Right. It depends on what conditions that the court has imposed. As the court said, you're convicted, you're going to do this sentence. Are you allowed to talk to your family members? Once the case is done, usually those prohibitions go away. But of course, the concept of is there any kind of continuing operation is always going to be in the minds of law enforcement. But it seems like the police agencies involved in this case felt pretty confident that they had shut this down. They had one man dead at the hands of at least the top rung of the crime family. The people who are most culpable are going away for a long, long time. And whether or not they're going to be allowed to talk to their family members while they're sitting in the state prison, that'd be something that'd be up to the local Department of Corrections. But that kind of stuff is monitored pretty closely. I mean, we're always getting prison conversations that are recorded, prison videos, information after the fact if it involves a new case about what's taken place, what communications are taking place by inmates in a prison system and people on the outside.
Do high sentence plea deals like this help avoid the trauma of a trial, or can they leave victims' families feeling like they didn't get their day in court?
Right. So cases like this, it depends on what the communication is between prosecutors and victims' families. There are some times when a victim's family rejects the idea that there should be a plea. They want to have their day in court. They want to see a defendant on the witness stand. A lot of the times they're hoping for some kind of explanation of motive to give them the closure that they want. And that doesn't always happen. And that can be certainly troubling and confusing for a victim's family. If they think if this just goes to trial, we'll get the answers we're looking for. And that doesn't always happen because sometimes, of course.
Hey, Toe Beans, good to see you.
Defendants don't often testify in their own trials in cases like this. Sometimes the victims' families are just left with little morsels of information. And there are other victims' families who say, look, we do not want to relive this. And if you can get a deal that puts this person away for a long time, that's going to be satisfactory to us because we don't have to go sit through a trial and have that emotion welling up again, go through that trauma that we've already lived through. So perfectly reasonable answers on both sides. One of the most recent examples was the Koberger case in Idaho, where part of the victims, some victims' families said, we do not want to see a plea deal. Other families said, we are okay with this because we don't have to live through a trial. It just highlights the pain and the trauma of being the family of a murder victim, because on the one hand, you may want justice. You may want to see that person in court. On the other hand, you want to relive that.
Well, how do prosecutors choose which way to go? Whether they, make an example out of this person and they want them, to be tried in front of the judge, or if they would just rather the deal?
Right.
This must be her coming with the vehicle on the property.
At the end of the day, the prosecutors, even though they have a lot of contact with victims' families, and victims in every state in the union now has victims' rights, whether it's encased in law or there's some constitutional provision, prosecutors are supposed to take into consideration the feelings of a victim's family and the concepts of justice that the victim's families want. Having said that, prosecutors represent the community as a whole, and they will always tell you, while we want to listen to the victims' families, we have to make the decision about what's best in each case. So that's when sometimes you get a clash between prosecutors and victims' families. Prosecutors are looking at the bigger picture, which is what's best for the community, what's the best outcome for us, what's the most likely chance that we're going to get something close to the justice we want. And sometimes that clashes with victims' families' wishes, because if you have experienced the death of a loved one, for example, and you are aggressively wanting to.
You see them all up here in the upper right-hand corner, guys? That's where they're putting him into the vehicle. Wow. Just wow.
See that person on the witness stand taking responsibility.
And they got it blocked out because I'm sure you can probably see his body and then put him in the car. What a
That
shame.
may be a goal that you need to help close out that situation, but it doesn't necessarily happen. So at the end of the day, the prosecutors make the decision based on what's best for the whole community. They're supposed to listen to the victims' families, but that doesn't always translate into both parties going in the same direction.
Right. And it's clear that this was a very emotional case. I mean, we're talking about a victim in a wheelchair, so he was clearly vulnerable. Does that impact how a judge or jury, interprets intent or brutality in sentencing?
Right. Brutality is the word in this case because we know that this victim, the murder victim, was in the wheelchair because he had apparently his leg broken by this 16-year-old teenage enforcer for the family. So the fact that there was all this brutal violence that led up to the murder is certainly something that the defense is taking into consideration in determining whether or not we should go to trial or take this deal. But
yeah, and pretty much the rest of this is him reiterating the same things that we've already seen. So I do want to take you over here to this Google Earth map. And if we go to Green Sea Road here in Galivants Ferry, this is Green Sea Road right here. You can see there's hardly anything out there. A lot of farmland. Hang on. There we go. But right here where Green Sea is, you can see up here's Tabor City. Green Sea Road runs right into Tabor City. And on the other side of Tabor City, that's where Chadbourn is. See, here is the North Carolina, South Carolina state line right here. Can y'all see that? It's that close. I mean, this happened right over the state line. There's Green Sea Road right here. I mean, you just get right off that road and go right into Tabor City, and right on the other side is where he was from. But we're talking about this, it's out in the middle of nothing. As far as how far that is from me all the way out here in Horry County, I mean, Tabor City's back, that's about 40 minutes for me because you can see out here. If you go this way, here I am out here in Little River on the waterway. It's a straight shot out Highway 9. You remember the same road that Weldon Boyd chased Scott Spivey down because Scott Spivey was driving all the way to his house in Tabor City. Well, to get to Tabor City, you got to go through Green Sea. That little old town. Yeah, and there. See, Right there. A lot of farmland. There ain't a lot going on out there. Very much way, way, way out in the sticks out there. Yeah. So if we put this in from right there, yeah, takes you right out there. Yep, out in the middle of not a lot. But that's how close it is. That's the very, very small town. But there's that state line right here. The North Carolina, South Carolina. Fast money is easy to fall victim to, but he knew better. He knew this for sure. It's a terrible case. Let me see if I can pull up this, let me see if I can pull up the Post and Courier article. All right, here we go. There's Samantha, the mom, right here. And according to this article, an Horry County mother and her 3 children pled guilty this week to their respective roles in the assault, murder, and disappearance of a North Carolina man as part of the mother's alleged drug operation, according to prosecutors. Samantha Watts, 42, and her 18-year-old son, Peyton Watts, who was 16 at the time of the crime, both of Green Sea, South Carolina, pleaded guilty to murder on July the 14th and were sentenced to 45 years. That was for Samantha, and 35 years for Peyton in prison, respectively. Their trials were scheduled to start earlier that day. The duo admitted that they killed Corey Adam Souls, a 29-year-old father from Chadbourn, North Carolina. And like I said, Chadbourn is another town that's just on the other side of Tabor City. Out of the mother's revenge plot, right here it is, guys. Out of the mother, which is Samantha, revenge plot against him for allegedly stealing some drugs and for hitting his then wife, Courtney Souls, according to prosecutors. The mother allegedly ran a drug trafficking operation out of her Horry County home, and she had complete control over everything in that area, said Assistant Solicitor Brandon Lanier, who helped prosecute this case. The alleged operation was discovered during the investigation into Souls' death and disappearance, prosecutors said during her sentencing. Circuit Judge Michael Nettles said Samantha Watts leaned more towards wicked for her actions, including causing Souls' death and ordering her son to be a part of it. One thing that sticks out in my mind is anyone who's ever broken a bone or broken more than one, it's a very painful thing, the judge said, addressing Samantha Watts. Can you imagine what it would be like to break one of the biggest bones in your body and sit there for 11 hours. I take that into consideration as well. Samantha Watt's defense team denied that she controlled everything during her sentencing, arguing plenty of people came and went from the property and that she did not control them. She also apologized to the judge, asking for leniency. From what I know, he was a good guy, Samantha Watt said in court about souls before she was sentenced. I'm not a bad person. I'm really sorry to the Souls family, and I'm really sorry to my children. I bet you are. You're just sorry you got caught, in my opinion. Because I'm not true crime. I'm going to just say what I think, and that's what I'm thinking. I don't know how y'all are feeling in the chat right now, but that's how I'm feeling. Prosecutors said that between January 8th and 9th, 2023, Peyton Watts reportedly hit Souls and immobilized him, causing him to lay in a wheelchair with a broken leg for 11 hours. While in a shed, remember where you saw the car backing up on that video to the shed? That's where they were keeping him. After he was beaten and had his femur broken, he was in that shed on Samantha Watt's property. Peyton Watts and Samantha Watts walked to the shed, and Peyton was ordered to hit him multiple times in the head. And then Samantha Watts drove her son to the site where they disposed of the body, which, by the way, was on Green Sea Road, that same road that I just showed you on Google Earth. That's where they dumped the body. And she had all of her other kids involved in that as well. The assaults were captured on footage from surveillance cameras, which Souls had previously helped set up for Samantha Watts. Well, that is like, what's the word? There's a word I want to think of. Can't think of what I want to say right now about it. Well, karma, really. I mean, what's the likelihood that the surveillance cameras that you set up for somebody is going to be the very cameras that capture your murder? Chico says, this here is wild. If I had kids, I'd never let them do shit like this on my behalf. I'd never put my child in danger like that. That's exactly right. It does. It hurts me too. Hey, Sammy, Decramit Activity. So good to see you. Now, while the murder charge carries a minimum sentence of 30 years to life in prison, prosecutors only recommended 30 to 40 years in prison for Peyton Watts, who they also said is one of Samantha Watt's victims. Because, like I said, now let me look and see what it says here. Oh, here we go. Here's some further information. I didn't see this earlier. Lanier said at Peyton Watt's sentencing that the teen's father had died when he was young. So now we got an answer about his father. Wait a minute, Chris. Chris, that's a sign of fecal alcohol. Oh my fucking God. Fetal, not fecal. Stop it, Chris. It's good to see you, Sammy. I hope you're good. So it looks like Peyton's father died when he was young. But listen, she's got like 6 kids. Are they all from the same father? I wonder how he died. Was it a drug overdose? I mean, these are questions that I'm just curious. And he still lived at his mother's house. His other 2 siblings had already moved out. And remember, there was like 3 other young children that were younger than him. Samantha Watts reportedly started supplying her son with drugs like marijuana, pills, and cocaine when he was 12 years old. I want to make sure y'all see that. Because here on my channel, we talk about the facts. We just don't make up stuff and, speculate. Like, this is facts that was presented by the prosecution, which prosecutor said was her way of grooming him to do what she wanted. She provided a daily supply of drugs for her son as long as he acted as her muscle. This was not a case where we might have looked at the older person and said they could have gotten themselves out of that environment. They could have done something else, Lanier said. He had nowhere to go. There's no other way to describe it than Miss Watts failed her son. It makes me wonder if this was a long-standing situation with the mom and dad. Maybe they were both involved in this drug kingpin situation, and maybe the father succumbed to his situation. I mean, I don't know. That is very unfortunate because it seems like things really went off the rails after the father passed away. Peyton Watts started crying at his sentencing while his grandmother, see here we have the grandmother. I don't know if this is Samantha's mother or if this is the father that passed away's mother, and a couple of his friends and his pastor asked the judge for leniency for him. No, I don't care about your rate right now. And this is when he talks about he took full responsibility for his actions. He completed his GED while he was incarcerated. And they were pleading for him to get leniency. This is also where it talks about her two other children pled guilty for their actions before and after Soul's death. Her oldest daughter, 23, Amber, pled guilty to accessory after the fact, to murder under the Youthful Offender Act, and was sentenced to 6 years in prison, suspended to 5 years probation. Amber admitted she helped get a car, which we saw on that video of her backing that car in, for her mother and brother to use, and provided cinder blocks to them because when his body was found, he had cinder blocks tied to him. But she did not help dispose of the body. Amber had reportedly moved out of her mother's house because she disagreed with her mother's business and behavior, but she had returned on the 8th and 9th after Peyton called her to ask for help after the aftermath of Soul's death. Also, Samantha Watts' 21-year-old son, Jonathan Watts, who was 19 at the time of the crime, pled guilty to first-degree assault and battery under the Youthful Offender Act because he also was one of the people to beat Souls, and was sentenced to time served for reportedly beating up Souls the same day that he was killed. Jonathan Watts had reportedly returned to Samantha Watts' house to see his nephew, and he got heated after he heard how Souls hit his then-wife, Courtney Souls. When he asked Souls to leave the property, Souls reportedly refused and spit on him. Jonathan Watts then punched Souls repeatedly and contributed to the injuries he suffered the day of his death, according to prosecutors. Now, I have not seen anything about this domestic violence situation between Souls and his wife, Courtney Souls. So if I do find out any further information on that, I will be sure to share that with you guys. Jonathan Watt's attorney said at his sentencing that he called his girlfriend to come pick him up from his mother's house after the fight ended, and before he left, Jonathan Watts also helped get Souls into a chair and got him a glass of water. He left the property before Peyton Watts was ordered to hurt and kill Souls later that day. Such a terrible, terrible crime. So someone had messaged me and asked if I could please cover this case. And since it had just gone to trial on the 16th, I wanted to make sure to share all of that information with you guys because that is such a heinous case. Now, I do have something else that I need to look up real quick. And again, if you want the links to any of this information about the Adam Corey Souls case here in Horry County, the links are in the description. And Chris, I do see this Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, on Monday about the shark bite. The 35-year-old man who was nipped by the shark in knee-deep water. Was that the one you had shared? No, that's an old one. The article I just pulled up was an old one. Let me see if I can find the most recent one. Looks like the ones that are documented here, there's only been 2020, 2020, 2022, 2022. I'm not seeing it, Chris. You said Sullivan's Island, right? Because I have one that's coming up, but it says 2016. Nope, that's not it. The last shark bite near Sullivan's Island was June 27th of 2016, according to what I have here on the news. Trying to see if there's anything else here. Let me see the date of this video right here before I share it with you on Facebook. Of course, it's not pulling it up. I see where some people have seen some sharks, but didn't actually get bitten. Carl, I hope you have a great evening too. Hello, Stella. Yeah, usually I hear about the shark activities. Now, I've seen a couple of sharks here scaring the crap out of people, but nobody's gotten bitten here recently, thank goodness. I'm looking here on the news to see if anything's been reported down there, and I'm not seeing anything. The last one I got is 2016 down there. Dang it. I'm scouring. If I could spell, my gosh, my spelling is hideous right now. Let me look here. I know there was one in North Carolina recently. There was Sunset Beach, a guy got nipped, but I think that was back in May. Let me see. Here, I'll share my screen on this one. This is the one I do know about because Sunset Beach is right north of me, right over the state line. I don't know if you heard about this one. This was back in May. This guy right here. You can see that's a nice little chunk taken out of his leg right there. Sharks don't like the way humans taste, so. Laughing Heart says they're probably keeping it hush-hush. It's tourist season. They don't want to deter people from visiting. People are here for it. And according to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina News, this was on June 25th, Myrtle Beach ranks 5th among sharks who bite. However, only 6 attacks in a decade made that grade. Sharks rarely bite. The more you know. Just remember, when you're getting in the water, you're getting in the water in their house. So don't forget about it. This is Post and Courier in, let's see what it says here. Is a dead whale to blame for sharks and bites on Hilton Head. And that was back on July the 18th. Is that the one you're talking about, Chris? Is a dead whale to blame for sharks and bites on Hilton Head? Yeah, we had a couple of juvenile sperm whales that were deceased up here too. One of those juvenile sperm whales was found dead on the jetty right where Tyler Doyle went missing. It was huge, and it stunk bad. It says a pair of shark bites that occurred on Hilton Head beaches last month was understandably the source of consternation among locals and visitors. A few things that stir the human imagination more than sharks chomping on swimmers. And apparently the theory is that there was 2 rare events that could occur in such close proximity. And they believe that the theory is because there was an 11-ton, 31-foot-long juvenile sperm whale beached off of Hilton Head, Mid-Island Beach, near the Marriott Grand Ocean Resort. Before this incident, the last whale stranding on Hilton Head was in 2014, 11 years earlier. We've actually had one whale beach itself down in North Myrtle, and we had a juvenile sperm whale beach itself on the jetty, and that was all here in 2025. So that's interesting that there has been 3 whales that have beached themselves in 2025. Chris said in Charleston County, they're trying to ban people fishing for sharks on the shoreline. Yeah, well, the sharks hang out around the piers anyway because the bait. So this is the only one that I saw. This was off Coligny Beach where the whale was at. And DNR says it's correlated, but it's not causal, according to marine biologist Brian Fraser. So I don't really see anything else about Sullivan. Let me see if I can find anything else. Let's go to Google. I don't like searching on this one. Shark bite. Sullivan's Island. Can't even spell. $2025. See, there's the one about the shark bite at Hilton Head right here. All right, here's one from 2 months ago, Sullivan Island. A 20-second video of a shark that nearly attacked somebody in shallow water. There's the one that I was talking about on Hilton Head, the 9-year-old and 12-year-old. But that was Hilton Head. See, this one's 2017 on Sullivan's Island. See, I've looked up the dates on those, and those are older. This video right here.
That just swam right by us.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot lately.
That just swam right by us. That just swam right by us.
Yeah, that's right there at the shore. We've seen quite a few sharks here in North Myrtle and Myrtle Beach, swimming close to the shore like that. Sometimes they get close to shore when they're fighting, following a school of fish, or if they're mating. Yeah, you want to be really careful. Keep your head on a swivel. That's why I don't go out on to the I don't get in the ocean anymore. It's not good. And apparently this was the one at girls bitten by sharks at Hilton Head just days apart. And this was June the 24th right here.
Right now, beachgoers on Hilton Head Island are on high alert. This comes after another possible shark bite within the last week. Hilton Head Fire and Rescue says the victim is a teenage girl and that it happened at Caligny Beach on yesterday. WTOC's Aaron Dixon brings us reaction from the beach.
That shark attack here on Caligny Beach on Hilton Head Island happened in front of a lifeguard stand where a girl suffered a cut on her leg but was luckily taken to a local hospital where she is expected to recover. Sunday.
And let me just say, if you are bleeding, do not get in the ocean, y'all. Please do not. If you're injured, do not get in the water because you're attracting that to come. Yeah, it is crazy the whales are, but when whales are dying, they come to the shore. It's just weird that there's been 3 large sperm whales that have been beached in 2025. One at the jetty. There was a large whale that beached down in Myrtle Beach. They did call in the wildlife people to try to save it, and it ended up dying. And it stunk. It was horrible. And they had to get a backhoe out on the beach and bury the whale on the beach. They got a backhoe out there and dug a huge hole right there on the beach and buried the whale in the sand. Because we're talking about like 10 tons. Like, who's going to drag it off the beach and go take it somewhere to be buried? So they took a backhoe out onto the beach and just buried the whale right there on the beach. And there was one that apparently was beached down here. I know, right, Chris? You won't catch me down there because it smelled when I went down there just to see it for myself. I couldn't even get out there. I was like, nope, nope, nope. And I left. And that's when they were bringing the backhoe out to bury it.
Was the first shark attack this season on a public beach. The water was cleared for half a mile in each direction for a couple of hours until people were able to return to the water. The injury was determined to be non-life-threatening, and the girl was taken to a local hospital. Less than 24 hours later, beachgoers were asked to leave the water again due to a possible shark sighting.
Get that baby out of the water right now. You won't catch me letting my kids in the water. No.
No, you're almost expecting at this point. It's happened yesterday. Yesterday, there was a black tip in the water, like around 10 feet off of shore. And then today, we thought it was a similar thing. I mean, I haven't seen this many people get out of the water. But again, we walked back and we just scanned the area, and it looked like dolphins.
Beachgoers eventually were able to return to the water.
It looked like dolphins? Sir, apparently you're not that educated if you cannot tell the difference between a dolphin and a shark. And that's why, sir, you don't need to be in the water.
But are making sure they remember all of the shark safety tips they have learned growing up.
At the end of the day, you just got to be smart where you're stepping, who you're with, make sure you're around a lot of people, and, it's not going to stop us from enjoying the water.
Stay with
Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. It's going to stop me. Chris, you cannot make this up. You cannot. I mean, we have people come down here and they are just oblivious. They'll go out there and swim by the pier and they're like, we saw a shark. And I'm like, yes, educate yourself. Sharks stay by the pier because people are fishing with bait and there's blood in the water. And that's why the sharks hang out by piers. If you come down here on vacation, do not get in the water by a pier and go swimming. Dolphins are mammals. Yes, twist. And they do not look like sharks in the water. And I've seen lots of dolphins. And that's why I tell people, if you come down here, don't just keep your head on a swivel when you're on the street. Don't be walking out at night. Don't be going to Broadway at the beach and walking down the boulevard by yourself. Always take somebody with you because something might happen. But also, don't be getting in the water and not knowing your surroundings, not knowing what an actual shark looks like in the water, and don't be letting your babies go out there in the water. Crazy B6 says, I love diving with the sharks. Okay, that's great. But you probably have a little more knowledge than some of these tourists that come down here and just jump in the water and I live here. I've seen my neighbors catch 2 different tiger sharks in the waterway. And then I have people that are like, oh, sharks don't come in the waterway. You better quit lying. You better quit lying. Because I have seen people catch sharks in the waterway. Now, I'll go ride. I've ridden with Shay on the jet ski out there, but I'm just not going to be flipping and flopping out in the water, see? Because if you look like you're about to go under and you're struggling, they are onto you. You're like a target. You know what I'm saying? And just because you're around a bunch of people, that don't mean nothing. I invite y'all to go over to the Discovery Channel. You need to learn more about sharks. So, and more power to you, Crazy B6. Is that why your name's Crazy B6? Because you like diving with the sharks. I do find them interesting, though, and that's why I love watching them on the Discovery Channel when it's Shark Week. It's just so very interesting. And I like to watch them. You know, they have the shark trackers, and we can always see when the herds of sharks are like coming past us. The news will share, like, you know, the different with O-Search, the shark tracker. Have you guys seen that? Let's take a look at it real quick, because I mean, I ain't got nothing else to do. I got a little bit of time. Have y'all seen this? This is O-Search. And look, you can even meet a shark sweepstakes if y'all want to enter. But they ping all of these different sharks, and they have these trackers on them, and they have different names. And you can see all around the United States, all of these different sharks. So let's go here to where I live and see what we got. Let's see what we got. Oh, Lord, look at all these sharks out from where I'm at, y'all. We got 2 up by my house right now. Let's see what we got up here. We got Ulysses. He was last seen here January the 29th of 2024. That's a 12-foot, 4-inch, 990-pound shark named Ulysses. He's an adult. He first pinged in 2021. And look, he's been all over the place. Look, he's a traveler. He's been down here to Savannah, Jacksonville. He's been all around the world on the Atlantic right here. What else we got going out here? We got Teaser, a 10-foot, 9-inch, 764-pound white shark. But the water is so hot right now, they've probably migrated to different places. Let's see what we got down here. Oh, good gracious. There's one real close to McClellanville. That's Jax. He's a tiger shark. 12 feet, 6 inches, 750 pounds. And look, he's been all over the place. He goes all the way down here, close to, golly, he's getting close to daggone Miami, all the way up to Daytona, Jacksonville. And he goes all the way up. He don't go any further in North Carolina. They've been tracking him for a long time. That's pretty cool, isn't it? How you can track them. Ava Love y'all. Be back when I won't have nightmares. You better stay around for these sharks. What else we got on here? Let's see. Let's see where Sarah's at. Sarah's all the way down in the Gulf of Mexico right now. So we ain't got to worry about Sarah. And they also track sea turtles, apparently. Let's see if we got any sea. Oh, we got some sea turtles near Charleston. That's Therese, loggerhead sea turtle. Now look at that. This sea turtle migrates all the way down to Florida. Y'all, isn't that incredible? See, this is the kind of stuff I'm into. Oh, I hear the puppy. Let me go get the puppy. Y'all give me 1 second. Hey, baby, come in. Yes, my sweetheart. Did you miss Mommy? Did you miss Mommy? I missed you, puppy. Was you in there with Daddy? Did Daddy go to bed? I think it's very cool. Oh, there's a shark named Jason. Where's Jason? Is he still in here? Jason might have went to bed. Oh, my gracious. Look at all these sharks that's off the coast here. I mean, there's a ton. There's a ton. You better stay vigilant. That's a gray lady. She's a subadult. It's amazing to see how long they've been tracking these sharks. And the sea turtles. And they track the dolphins. It's pretty neat. A lot of sharks up north, too. Yeah, y'all should go over and check it out. It's pretty cool to just be able to look to where all these different... These are active ones, I guess. There's Jason. Oh, he's all the way up north where it's cool. I don't know if I necessarily want to meet a shark. Crazy wants to meet one. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot more. These are just the ones being tracked crazy. Yeah. I just think it's neat. Because you can see when they're migrating. Because there'll be like a whole school of them that comes by. You know? Here's Ocracoke. And he probably stays off the Ocracoke Sound. He sure does. Pretty amazing. So y'all just remember Shark Week. Y'all stay vigilant out there. Is there one named Carl? Probably. There probably is. You'll have to go over to the website and look. Then we can troll Carl about it and be like, Carl, there's a shark named after you. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot more. But that's all I have for y'all this evening. I just wanted to share that case with you and just check in with you guys and see how you're doing. And play this. I got this little video of Puppy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being my followers. I love you. Have a beautiful day.
She's sweet, isn't she? My baby Harley. My baby girl. Chris said, I heard the Carl shark was chasing the Seth shark. Oh, no. Dun, 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 Na, 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 na. Chris. Oh my gosh. Carl, you better stay safe out there. Isn't she sweet, y'all? I think I got another picture that I uploaded of her. Look at this baby. She went and had her nails done today, and I had to give her trazodone, so she's high as Cooter Brown right now. Because, I mean, she's 79 pounds, and she is a Staffordshire Bull Terrier and an American Pit Bull Terrier mix. So she is very rowdy, and she does not like to hold still. So I have to medicate her to get her nails done. And, of course, the lady came back out and said she was good as gold. And I said, yeah, because I gave her 200 milligrams of trazodone. And she said, yeah, she just let me cut her nails. She gave me sugar. And she goes, that's not like her. And I said, no, it's not. I said, I wish she was calm like that all the time. But she's still a puppy. She'll be 2 in November. She's just a sweet little baby. Here's another picture of her with her stuffy. Chico has pretty puppies too. I missed her live on her puppies. But if you go over and check out Chico's channel, she's got pretty kitties and she's got some pretty puppies too. And I did have one last thing. I did have somebody ask me, I heard you were on YouTube Survivor House. And they were asking me, they heard that I got pregnant by Michelle on the YouTube Survivor House. I said, yes, that's true. So here's a picture of us on YouTube Survivor House. Now, here's Chico right here. Here's Crystal. I didn't get, Michelle's over here. For some reason, it cut that off. I'm going to have to screenshot it again so I can get Nonsense and Michelle in there. I didn't realize it cut it off. But there's Crystal. There's Arctic Fox. There's Screwball. That's Michelle's husband. There's me. And this is the reason I got this one is because that's my baby, Chatty. You know, after my sub Chatty. That's my baby's name, Chatty Michelle. That's my baby. Yes, my BFF Michelle is my baby mama on the YouTube Survivor House, Miss W. Don't worry, because Arctic has had a baby himself. Listen, I can't explain how the Sims game works. Chico, are you in here? Because Chico hadn't had a baby, but she be the baby daddy mama of a couple of kids over there on the YouTube Survivor House. I kid you not. And I think they're like evil witches or something. I don't know. They set everything on fire and stuff. And there's Allie. She was in here earlier. But anyway, so that's me. And there's Chatty. We got the same color hair. We got silver hair. And Chatty's all grown up now. I think he's like 13. Look, there's Chico. I knew Chico. I'm just spreading my seeds, man. Y'all got to come over and watch the YouTube Survivor House. She's going to have another live tomorrow. We laugh so much. It is just so ridiculous. And Chico is a witch on there, apparently. I just found that out. Sorry to break it to everybody, but she be setting everything on fire, y'all. She been burning everything up. I even died on the last episode. Somebody torched me. I set myself on fire, and the Grim Reaper wouldn't even come take me. They had to restart the game. The little one is my Chatty. That's my little kid. Me and Michelle's baby. His name's Chatty Michelle. That's our baby. Chico seeds are baby seeds. Oh my gosh. Chico and Arctic have a baby together. And Arctic had to carry the baby. I kid you not. I kid you not. I'm not lying. This game is crazy. And Nonsense is a plant woman. She's green. She's green. And her hair looks like broccoli. I hadn't figured it out. And Arctic is a vampire for some reason. And he wants to bite everybody. And Screwball is a werewolf, and he like turns red, and then he starts having flames coming out of his eyes. It's the craziest thing that you've ever. Arctic is a stud, Elizabeth. Stop it. You think my kid looks like Eminem? How do you find this soap opera? It's on Crystal's channel. That's So Crystal. Let me see if I can drop it in here. Let me find her. Let me find her channel link. I've got it over here somewhere. Let me go find. So Nightbot will drop it. I think it's under Crystal for the Nightbot. Y'all got to go sub up to Crystal. She has it on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and it's the YouTube Sims game, and we call it YouTube Survivor House. And when we're trying to just get away from all this drama, this is what we do. We literally just go over there and laugh and cut up and watch our YouTube virtual selves in this Big Brother Survivor House. And Allie is an alien. Allie wears this alien suit, and I don't know, she be going to the moon too much or something. You definitely have to come check it out. She'll probably have another one tomorrow. What is it, Chico? 8 o'clock, I think. Please go sub up to Crystal. We have so much fun, and Chico cracks me up. Yes, and we pee outside in a bush, apparently, even though we have perfect working toilets. We even have a bathtub in a bush. And for some reason, we want to be taking a bath outside. I can't even understand. Nonsense stays in the jacuzzi. She don't ever want to get out of the jacuzzi. Nonsense ain't had no baby. She don't like none of us. She just stays to herself. You think Chico looks like Ellen? Chris, I'm serious. It's the funniest. That has like saved me. It's just too much fun. Chico said we got aliens, vamps, werewolves, witches, mermaids, and we're probably about to have fairies. Yeah, I think she uploaded a new mod pack, and I think we're going to have fairies this time. I kid you not. So y'all, I think we're going to have one tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Y'all definitely need to swing by. You will definitely laugh. Look, Elizabeth. Yes, we got the hoism. Apparently, all of us be hoising them around. I'm surprised the clip channel has not clipped some of the stuff out of that stream yet, because there has been some. I can't even explain it. Y'all can go back and watch the other episodes on her channel if you haven't caught up. You can just go over there and just laugh and laugh and laugh. Hags and hoes, Miss W? Well, kinda like that, maybe. But the fun version of hags and hoes, yeah. Yeah, we have a ball, Chico, for sure. And we also beat the crap out of each other. Like last episode, we went like straight out, we were all fighting each other. Like, you ever seen the cartoons where there's like this ball of dust because you're literally beating the crap out of each other? Like, that's what it looks like. I'm surprised nobody has clipped it yet, because it is YouTube gold. For real. See, I'll be sure to look for that on That's So Crystal's community post, but I think she usually has it on 8 o'clock on Wednesdays and 8 o'clock on Saturdays. And that's how we just, stay out of all the crazy places. Wait a minute, that's what Craig calls BJ subs? It's okay. Well, somebody gonna have to pray for them two over there, because I ain't got words for none of them. I'm speechless at this point. I don't even have words. Again, I may have to join the cicadas this summer and scream for 6 weeks straight if I have to listen to any more bullshit from any of these crazy people on YouTube. It is solid comic relief, Ava. Like, if you just want to just check out of all the crazy and come over there and laugh, it's highly recommended. Yeah, we've had some glitches that Crystal had to do a reset, but I think she added this fairy pack, so I think it'll be fun. So I hope you guys will come over and join us over there. Yeah, we have these cow plants that will eat you. We have to milk them. It's a whole thing. You guys just if you want to go over there, I just advise you to go pick one of the YouTuber houses that has already been played through and just go watch it and you will crack up. I'm telling you, it is hilarious. But that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to log off and go take the dog out. It's finally stopped raining, so I'm going to let her go outside and potty and go wash my face and get my jammies on. But I appreciate y'all joining me to listen to this case. And Elizabeth, send me the information on that other case and I'll look into it. Chico's doing some research on a case, and when she's ready, we'll probably talk about that case too. And in the interim, I may just do some more cooking. We may take some trips. I don't know. I'll have to see. I've got some appointments and stuff this week, but I've got some things lined up, some things we're going to be doing. So, but I got to take the puppy out. So I'm going to play y'all out on this little outro, and I hope that y'all have an amazing evening. And I just want to thank Allie for being a member for 22 months, Miss Southpaw for being a member for a month, Elizabeth for being a member for 33 months, and thank you to Old Crows and Wine, Crime, and Mayhem for joining up to the Dutch Bus, and thank you Nonsense for sending your super chat. I really appreciate y'all supporting this mission over here and just keeping the channel going. It really means a lot to me because I just want to have a space and a place where I can talk about all the things and share it with you guys. And I just appreciate you choosing to spend your time over here hanging out with little old me. I think we have a good time. So I will catch you guys later. We might have a live stream later on this week. So be kind, y'all. Take care. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye, y'all.
We started a game we never got to finish.
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't.
Working hard, but we never had a breath.
I'm your huckleberry.
On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Flex. I said beggars never choose, winners never lose. Who the fuck is you? About to take a snooze. Beg you tell the truth, yeah, beg you tell the truth. Lying to yourself, but in your eyes you got no clue. I come back like Spinal and spin the vinyl. Don't come back with my flow, there'll be no survival. I'm defiant with the rules everywhere that I go. But I lay low if I pick the high road, yeah. And it goes, no rest for the wicked at all. And they know. Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Flex, 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 flex. Give me the jewels, give me the goals, give me the good shit, keep it brand new. I had to move, switch fuels. I was getting kinda sick of the commute. Give me a Uber with no roof, and I crash Bandicoot. Put that ice in my glass like the cup caught the flu. Sick, I choke. And you don't say as you do now. And it goes, no rest for the wicked at all. And they know. Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Working hard, but